Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Once again, this is xoxo. So I'm going to do one more video today. I got another question that I thought deserved its own video. And since I haven't talked about this before, I think it's just a great topic. So the question is from Mariana, and she asked me to do a beginner's guide for casting their first curse. What are some mandatory things one should do? Things that could backfire, safety measures, etc. So this is a good question. If you have never cursed before, then it helps to get some advice from a seasoned practitioner. So let's see. I didn't really plan this video out, so I'm just going to be talking from experience, and it's not going to be in any particular order. So I think first of all, I would say, as far as safety measures or things that could backfire, the most important thing is, if you're going to be cursing somebody, is it justified? Do they deserve it? Okay. Did they do something that truly deserves, you to curse them? Or, another thing to consider is, have they already been punished in another way? Like if someone does something and then they get in trouble with the law, then they have already been punished, and you don't really have to do a curse. And if you do a curse anyway, I wouldn't recommend that. Okay? In that type of situation. So you have to kind of look at what they have done. Does it truly merit for you to curse them? As compared to, they're just being annoying, or, a thorn in your side. And there could be other ways you could deal with the situation without resorting to cursing. When it comes to cursing, personally, I only curse people when they have caused harm. So if someone has caused harm to you, or someone that you love, or your client or something, then, that is, a situation where justice is needed. So, if other means of obtaining justice don't work for whatever reasons, then resorting to cursing is the traditional, magical thing to do. Magic for justice. Read Aradia, The Gospel of the Witches by Charles Leyland, okay? Since time began, I'm going to say it like that, people have been using magic for justice, as well as other things, of course, but, for justice has been a part of it. So, this video is not really about the morality of cursing or whatever, but I just wanted to include that, since, Mariana did ask about safety measures or things that could backfire. The only time that I've ever seen a curse backfire is if it was not justified, if it was just done out of malicious intent on your end, to like an innocent person, you know, that would, to me, have the potential to backfire in my experience. And, you know, I don't necessarily believe in the threefold law or karma or anything like that, but I do think that there's balance in the universe. And if you're the one that's being malicious and attacking somebody with a curse and they don't deserve it, then you're the one that deserves justice to be dished out to you. Okay? So anytime that I curse someone, I make sure that I'm on the side that is justified. Because you're working in alignment with a greater principle of the universe, balance. Okay? When someone wrongs an innocent person, they're creating an imbalance or imbalance, however you say that word. I can't think right now. They're creating disharmony. They're acting outside of the oneness, okay? The one mind. They are causing a disruption in the force, okay? They're doing something that goes against the order of the universe, okay? So, you know, when that happens, balance needs to be restored. So when you're cursing someone from that perspective and from that understanding within yourself that that's what you're doing, and doing that and only that, not going over the top, then, you know, I don't think that there's any type of danger involved for yourself as far as anything backlashing on you, or even the forces that you're working with. When you're doing it from this perspective, you know, the forces won't backlash on you. Now, it should be noted here that there are people who curse by summoning dark forces, demons, and spirits of destruction and death and evil spirits, you know. In that type of situation, if someone's cursing from that energy, from that low vibrational energy, then I do think that there is a level of danger involved, because they are conjuring that evil energy around them. At the least around them, and at the worst, you know, they're doing it in their home around other people too. So in that sort of situation, you know, if you're going to curse from that type of energy and that type of magic, then definitely you need to like cast a circle to contain it, do a banishing work afterwards, do a cleansing afterwards to get that energy off of you and out of your area and out of your home. And preferably do it alone, where you're not doing it in a family home or something where there's other people that don't even practice magic around, because those type of spirits are indiscriminatory. They don't necessarily care who they're harming. So it's kind of dangerous in that regard when you summon a spirit of destruction. You know, that spirit is a spirit of destruction. It doesn't care who the target is. It's going to bring that destructive force and energy with it, wherever it is, whoever it's around. So that's another thing I should say as well in this. that just made me think of this. If you curse somebody, don't hang out with them, okay? That's a danger. That's a very real danger, caused by your own stupidity or lack of thinking. If you curse somebody, don't hang out with them afterwards, because once again, you'll be putting yourself around danger because you've put a curse on them. So dark shit is going to be happening to them and around them, and if you go around them, you're putting yourself in harm's way, and you can't necessarily be protected from that because they're cursed. Okay, so that's another little tidbit I just wanted to throw in because I just thought of it. But yes, if you're cursing somebody from a dark place, from a malicious place, with calling evil spirits to do your bidding to harm these people, then you need to make sure that you are protecting yourself before you even call on this type of spirit. Preferably doing it alone, and then doing major banishing and cleansing work afterwards, because you don't want that type of low-level energy sticking around you or inside of you, or just anything like that. Now, I don't recommend cursing like that, obviously. Go with the first if you're taking my advice, go with the first thing I said. Make sure that it's justified, and make sure that you are aligned with that universal energy of restoring balance, of bringing justice to the matter, okay? That way, you're channeling that higher energy into the curse work. So it's not even really a curse in the sense of like a permanent curse you're placing on somebody. It's more of like just a justice spell. That's how I do my curse work, okay? I don't place permanent curses on somebody. I have in the past, but we're not going to go there in this video. But at this point in my life and evolution and experience with magic, I don't place permanent curses on people. When I curse them, it is usually mainly as a form of justice on a particular thing that they have done, and need to be, punished for, or whatever. So, that would be my suggestion. That would be my advice. Since this video, the question is a beginner's guide to casting your first curse, I'm just going to give my advice on how I would suggest you to do it. So, for your greatest safety, since that was also part of your question. So, now that we have kind of talked about that foundational inner work about it, like how you need to be viewing the situation and what energies you need to be tapping into, sort of in general, I'm going to get into the guide part. Okay, so this is just going to be like one example of what you can do. I'm going to backtrack, actually. One more thing I want to say as far as the inner work that you need to prepare yourself. This should come as a natural side effect if you do it the way that I suggested. But you shouldn't be having any kind of fears, okay? If you're having fear and worry that it's going to backlash on you the whole time that you're trying to do the curse, then you might as well not even do it, okay? Just, if you're terrified that you're going to get some kind of punishment for cursing someone, and you just can't shake that thought or that feeling, then just don't do it. Okay? Look for other methods, look for other things to do. Don't curse someone if you're scared to curse someone. Okay? More than likely it won't work, or you'll backfire it on your own self, because that fear, that emotional energy that you're having the whole time that you're doing the curse, you'll be putting that into the curse. So in a way, it will be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You'll be programming the curse to backlash on you because you have that fear. And we know that our emotions, our emotional energy, is one of the things that empowers and gives life to our magic and our spell work. So that is another important aspect of this. You know, if you're scared to curse someone, if you're fearing that's going to come back on you, or once again, even if it's just you're thinking that it might come back on you, or you just can't convince yourself that it won't come back on you and feel okay with it, then just don't do it. Because more than likely, you're going to make it come back on yourself by having those thoughts and those feelings. Okay? The right frame of emotional energy that you need to be in is angry. That's it. You don't need to have any other emotions. You know, you need to be angry at the person. You need to be pissed off in a indignant, righteous way. You know, utilize that anger energy. And also you need to have the mindset like as though you are a judge. Kind of just looking at it objectively at the same time. So it's important to do it like this as well. And I don't know if I explained that well enough. Let me see if I can articulate it better. So, yes, just to further articulate what I was saying just then, you need to have anger to fuel the power of the spell, that wrath energy, but at the same time, you need to have a sort of indifferent mindset to the entire situation. You know, don't have that fear of what might happen to the person and etc. like that. You sort of need to just have an indifferent perspective of it. Don't be invested in the outcome to that degree that you're having feelings about what the outcome might be for good or ill. Because in that way, you could, you know, disrupt your spell work. I have learned from experience in that regard. So make sure that, you know, this is basically how I learned it, okay? And I'm just going to say how I learned it. But know that this is just a dramatic mindset to get yourself into that mindset of being indifferent, okay? Basically, what I was taught is if you're going to curse someone, then don't even care if the curse kills them or if they survive. okay? Because, you know, you need to be indifferent to it. And the reason why is because it's not, you're initiating, you're invoking the justice on them, but you're not the one that controls the severity of the justice or what happens to them. As far as the specifics, manifestations of what the curse is going to do to them, you know, you don't know what you're necessarily unleashing. But what you're tapping into is that universal balance, that universal justice energy. And you're invoking that onto the person if you're doing it in the way that I suggest. And so you need to be indifferent in that regard because you're not controlling the outcome. So you don't know what's going to happen, truly. But you can be sure that they're going to get exactly what they deserve. They're going to get no more or no less than exactly what they deserve, okay? So you can rest assured in that aspect of it. But truly, you don't know what they deserve or not. So you need to have that indifferent mindset. You need to have that sort of, you know, you're not the one that gets to decide what happens, how severe it is, anything. You're basically just the catalyst. You're invoking justice on them. You are you know, you're bringing the law of the universe down on them, and the universe is going to deal with it. It's going to bring in that balance, and the universe knows exactly what to do and exactly what they deserve, because you may not even know the extent of this person's transgressions. You may not even know, you know, what else they have done in their life aside of the thing that they did to you or to the person that you're doing the spell work for. You know, they could have done a lot more worse things to other people and never, you know, got punished for it. And when you're invoking justice on them and cursing them in this way that I'm suggesting, then you're sort of just invoking that energy to be balanced out in general. So you have to be indifferent because you don't know what's going to happen. But you know that something is going to happen. And you know that your spell work is catalyzing and initiating this process, but you just don't know how it's going to manifest or to what extent. And you have to not care. You have to be indifferent to it because you don't know. Okay? So that's, you know, another major important aspect of this. So now I'll get into the actual guide part of just a simple way that you can curse someone in this method, how I do it. So once again, this is just going to be a very simple way. You can create your own ritual, your own spell work, or you can find one online and adapt it to still do it from this mindset and with this process. But really, it's just going to come down to what tools you want to use as far as the physical part of the curse. But very simply, at the most basic level, for a beginner, you'll just need a black candle. This is just a simple chime candle. So you'll just want one black candle. you'll inscribe your enemy's name or your target's name onto the candle using some kind of nail or pen or something. This is my candle inscribing tool that I made. And you'll just write their name on the black candle. Preferably also their birth date, their name and their birth date, if you can get that information. If it's a situation where you don't know their full name, you can just put their first name. If it's a situation where you don't know the target's name, you can just write down, you know, a bad person or my enemy or some other generic title or whatever that you're giving to this person, you know, because, you know, maybe someone stole something off your lawn, but you didn't get to see who did it or something like that. So you could just write like thief on the candle. Just that's an example of what I'm trying to get at. If you're in a situation where that's the type of person that you're trying to curse. So that would be fine as long as in your mind the word or the words that you're writing represents the person that you're targeting, then that it will work. That's fine. So once you have the name inscribed or your word in the birthday or not, you'll want to have some sort of dark arts oil. You can find them online. You can find them in witchcraft shops. And just anoint the candle with it all over. And as you're doing that, you will then visualize that this candle is now the person. Okay? So just to stick with the example thief that I said earlier, I would be anointing the dark arts oil on this candle, and I would be saying something like, you are now thief. You are thief. You are thief. I recognize you and consecrate you now as thief. Okay? So you need to view the candle that it is the target. Okay? It's not that it's like an image of them or something, but view it as if that is the actual person in the room with you. Okay? In that depth, in that level, view it like that. So that's just the consecration part, and that is basically, you'll be making the candle into an object link of the person. Now, if you already have object links to the target, or a picture, like an actual image or picture of them or whatever, you could just use that. I still recommend doing the candle how I said, but then just place the object link either underneath it or beside the candle when you set the candle up to light it. Just to add that further energy. And do the same thing to the picture or the object link, whatever it is that you have got from the target. Do the same thing. View that, consecrate it as the person. Okay, and it's fine to do it to multiple things, as long as you can put that depth of visualizing it and truly perceiving it as the person. So that's very important, because it will really hone in on that specific target, and that's what you want to do when you're unleashing these type of forces and spell work and powers. You want to make sure that it is extremely narrowly targeted on that person and only on that person. So, you know, once again, this is just a very simplified version of this. You can add to it as you want. You can adapt it and incorporate other curses and rituals into this. But I'm just giving you a very simplified way of doing it. So, a black candle, consecrate it as the person. And, you know, I would also probably draw the sigil of Saturn on it. And I would probably recommend do the spell work, I forgot to say, on a Saturday or on a Tuesday. Because Saturn and Mars rule those days. And these are the planetary energies that are the most powerful for cursing. And I would inscribe the sigil of Saturn or Mars, whichever day you're doing it on. I would put the sigil of that planet on the candle, whatever day I was doing it on, as well, just to add that extra energy to it. Usually if it's a picture of a person that I'm targeting, I will like really boldly, really thickly write over the picture with a black pen or a marker or something. Once again, either the sigil of Mars or of Saturn, like drawing over their face, really like angrily and violently to put that energy into the image. And also, you know, anoint and consecrate the image, if you're using an image, with dark arts oil as well. So you can use controlling oil, commanding oil, or literal black arts, dark arts oil, black destroyer. There's like a whole bunch of different oils for this type of work. Just choose one that feels right to you, or you can make your own. There's recipes online that you can find and stuff very easily. But you do want to have some kind of oil to use, because that's very important, because it's a transmitting, it's the water element. When you're using oils, you're tapping into the water element, and that's a transmitting magical tool. Okay. Water is the emotions, it's the relationship aspect. So it's that transmission, okay? So you want to make sure that you're using oil. And then that's basically the most simple thing as far as using tools and stuff. You know, just what I said would be enough to do it. So then you would just light the candle. So light it up, and then, you know, this will be the actual part of sending the actual curse. So while it's burning, you will start to either verbally speak your piece, you know, because once again, you need to be viewing the candle as if it is the person, as if they're right there in the room with you. So you kind of want to like go off on the candle, viewing it as the person, go off on the person as if they're standing up right there in front of you. Say what you need to say, unleash that anger into it. This is the part where you need to build up an anger and a wrath inside of you, and that emotional intensity, and just project it at the person, which the candle is representing. And you know, you could say a pre-written spell that you have written out, or you can just speak in the moment. I find that mostly I like to just speak in the moment when it comes to this type of work and other similar type of workings that are like so deeply emotionally based, because it's really more in touch with your truth when you're feeling that depth of emotion and you speak from that, rather than when you're just calm and collected and you're writing a curse, writing it out from that mindset, versus when you're actually feeling that anger welled up inside of you. The things that you will say have much more of a potency when they're coming from that level of your truth in the moment, I have found. So that's what I suggest you do. But once again, you can just read a pre-written spell or something that you have written down beforehand, or that you've just got from online or from another witch or something. And alternatively, you know, you don't have to say anything at all. You can just, you can very much just feel all of this whole process and just project it at the candle energetically. You don't necessarily have to speak or say anything at all. Just building yourself up to the level of anger and thinking the thoughts, feeling that way, projecting it to the candle is enough to do the work. And then I would say do that for like at least 10 minutes solid, 10 minutes straight. As far as like the actual projecting part. And once again, also alternatively, you could just continuously repeat, I curse you, thief, or whoever the person, whatever the target's name is. I curse you, I destroy you, name, I curse you, name. You can just keep repeating that over and over again too. But as long as you're feeling that anger, that righteous anger, indignant anger welling up inside of you while you're doing this, that's the major part to it. So you can just adapt that however you want, but as long as you're doing the emotional work, as long as you're putting that effort in, that's the key, okay? And the key is viewing the candle as the person, as if they're right there in the room with you. Those are the two major keys to this. And then that's basically it. After you're done doing that for 10 minutes straight, you know, at that point you should feel that you've got it all out of you and it's done. You might even feel a little bit exhausted, like as if you had just had an argument with someone in reality, you know, and that's normal because that's that energy that you've projected out of you going into it. And, you know, another thing I forgot to mention, keep in mind too that you are not sending this, once again, from a malicious place within you. Even though you're getting really worked up and angry, that's just to put the energy into it. You need to keep in mind mentally that you are indifferent to the outcome, and that what you're really calling upon is the universal justice, the universal law of balance. And that's what you're invoking and bringing through you into the work. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep that as your perspective. Well, I shouldn't have to repeat that from the beginning of this video, but I feel like it's necessary to go ahead and say that as a reminder. Make sure that you're doing it like that and not doing it from a place of your own mental like malice towards this person. Okay? Since this is a video for beginners, I went ahead and said that again. But yes, once you have completed these steps, you can more or less either just put out the candle and go like bury the remnants in a graveyard. You could just let the candle burn down all the way, and then, you know, what I like to do is I like to bury my curses in the graveyard or throw them in running water, where the water is flowing away from you. That's mainly what I do with curses. But you don't necessarily have to do it like that. Once again, that's not important. How you dispose of it is not the important part at all. You could just throw it away in the trash. Okay, honestly, you can dispose of the remains however you want, or you can just keep the remains like in a black bag or in a bottle or something, just locked away and hidden and kept safe. You know, you can do it however you want, and lots of witches, we deal with our remains in many different ways, just depending on our mood or what we feel like doing with it. So, that's basically it for the beginner's guide to this. I guess let me know if you have any more questions about this. Leave it in the comments below, and I will try to get back to anyone who has any questions, any further questions on this method. But it's relatively straightforward and simple, so it should be fairly easy for even a beginner. I think the hardest part for a beginner is probably all of the inner work, honestly. So yeah. And once again, just as a final warning, if you feel scared to curse someone, if you feel like it might come back on you, and that's giving you anxiety or fear, or alternatively, if you just think it might come back on you, just with your own logic and has nothing to do with your emotions, but you can't shake that thought, then don't do the curse, because you will poison it with those thoughts and or feelings, and you will cause it to come back on you in some kind of a way. So it's best to either completely devote to it or don't do it at all. Okay? You can't practice this kind of magic half-assed. You have to really devote into it and pretty much not care one way or the other what happens to the person. That's not to say that they will die or that the worst will happen if that's not what you want, but or if you're scared that that's what's going to happen and then that will come back on you, okay, then just don't do the work if you're scared that that's going to happen. But you need to be such invested into this that you really just don't care one way or the other what happens, because you know and trust that the universe is going to dish out exactly what they deserve, no more, no less. And it's not even up to you, okay? In this method, once again. So that's my final little closing thought, a reiteration. And yes, let me know if you have any questions. And I hope that this video helps you, Mariana, and any other beginners that are looking into this type of magic. If you want to get in contact with me for a psychic reading or for me to do spell work for you on your behalf, you can contact me in the methods below in the description box, through Facebook, through my email, or through Instagram. And just get in touch with me and we can discuss prices and your case and all of that. And yeah, hope this video was helpful. Hail to the witches, hail Hecate, and blessed be.